welcome back. Cage Kiplinger, Logan Hubert. This is the K&L Sports Huddle, episode number 40. This week, of course, we'll be recapping week 14 of the NFL. We had a shootout in Orchard Park, had a QB get really turnover prone, and a team that's on a 5-game winning streak that we're going to be going over with that. Of course, our week 15 picks against the spread. And on the college side, Logan, you're going to have to help me through this one today after Ohio State's big loss in the Big Ten Championship. But we'll recap Conference Champ Week and react to the final college football playoff rankings. Logan, it's good to see you again. Ready when you are for our weekly Whiplash.
Absolutely, sir. Let's get started. Starting first quickly in the NBA. Better point guards, I would say, of all time. Chris Paul, who announced he was retiring.
Yeah, we just talked about him.
We just talked about him, yes. Well, the Clippers decided they've had enough of him because I guess he just doesn't – he's not contributing to winning, but I don't think there's many people contributing to winning in that team right now at the moment. So at this point, I don't understand why they cut him because they have nothing to play for because they're so terrible this year. So why not respect the guy who made you relevant in the 2010s? So, yeah, for me, disrespectful to the legend CP3. But that's life in the NBA, I guess, especially in dysfunctional franchises like the Clippers. College basketball, a big weekend. Kentucky lost by 35 to Gonzaga in Nashville on Friday. So neutral site, but basically a home game because Nashville is much closer to Lexington than it is to Spokane, Washington. But nevertheless, they lost by 35 points. If you do the math, Gonzaga's last game, Michigan beat them by 40. Doing the math, that means Michigan would beat Kentucky by 75, which might be true because I just checked and Michigan's destroying Villanova at the moment we're recording this, so maybe Michigan is that good. One thing we know for sure is that Kentucky is not getting what they signed up for with their $20 million roster. And then in a shocker, absolute shocker, Iowa State went into Mackey Arena and not only beat number one Purdue, who had not lost to a non-conference team at home since 2019. They destroyed them. They beat them 81-58. They got 20 points from Milan. He is such a he's a sniper.
Momchilovich, I think something
Momchilovich,
like that.
Yes. He's always been good. He's an absolute sniper. My takeaway from that game, because I watched the whole game, was that if those two teams played each other 10 times, it would be an even split. That was just the one scenario where Iowa State hit every shot and Purdue missed every shot, especially the second half. Yeah, Iowa State was just started out on fire. It's kind of remind me of like the Pacers Thunder, how recall Game 6, the Pacers just destroyed the Thunder when come on, we know the Pacers aren't that much better than the Thunder. I mean, that was my takeaway from this. But weird story of college basketball is how many blowouts there have been of top teams. And as Gonzaga showed, it doesn't really mean much if you respond because everyone's kind of forgotten about their Michigan loss after what they did to Kentucky. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes for Purdue. And Iowa State's a juggernaut, that's for sure. And then finally, MLB news. Kyle Schwarber is returning to the Philadelphia Phillies. He is signing a 5-year, $150 million contract. Big for Philly. He had a great year. Key contributor. And then Edwin Diaz is going to the Los Angeles Dodgers because they're in desperate need of anybody. They're a desperate team. They need guys now. 3 years, $69 million, which is a very cheap contract for the Dodgers. I thought they would somehow pull another $300 million out of thin air like they usually do. But nevertheless, yeah, the Dodgers get a closer, which, I mean, if they did have a weakness, that was their weakness during the World Series. So that's good for them. And then the Chicago White Sox, they won the MLB draft lottery for the first time, or getting the first pick for the first time since 1977. So all these few years of horrible baseball in the south side of Chicago might finally pay off if they
Nope.
get a
Nope.
generational player. But as history has told us, White Sox have been pretty irrelevant since 2005.
Yeah, for number one picks in football are hit or miss. Number one picks in basketball usually are pretty good. Baseball, it's like you get like a
Who
fifth,
cares?
sixth, seventh rounder that'll be
Yeah.
the one that pops. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
means absolutely nothing. Sorry, White Sox fans, but this isn't going to change the trajectory of your franchise. The Edwin Diaz thing, that's actually, you said that was cheap for the Dodgers contracts, but that's not cheap for relief pitchers. I think that actually
No.
set a new precedent, a benchmark for closers and relief pitchers going forward. And then, actually a little surprised Schwarber stayed, but that's a good team. It's a good organization. So he's probably fit for that city and for that team. And
Yeah, New
going
York and
forward,
Los Angeles, I mean, yeah, they're a step up above Philadelphia, but it's not by much. It's not like he's playing for the Royals or the
right, or Paul
Diamondbacks.
Skeens over in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The $20 million that Kentucky's spending on its players is not paying off. I think what you mentioned about college basketball, a lot of blowouts. I think it may be due to an effect that NIL and the transfer portal is having. A bunch of teams just not together at this point in the season. I mean, basically new rosters being scrapped together every year with these programs, and so I think it's just taking a little while for these teams to get on the same page with each other. So, yeah. And then the Chris Paul thing, that is, I couldn't believe that. You don't just disrespect the guy that, like you said, made you relevant in the 2010s, made the franchise relevant for basically the first time ever. Don't give me anything about Elton Brand or Lamar Odom or Danny Manning. Those guys didn't make the Clippers relevant.
Especially when they have nothing to play for right now because they suck.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Kawhi Leonard's never on the floor, and then you have James Harden trying to man the team and be the top guy at his age. So no, poor decision by a poor organization. All right, that's our weekly Whiplash. Let's move on to our NFL Spotlight, where we recap last week's games by looking at our game of the week, our stat that told the story, and our team or player on the rise. We'll start with our game of the week, and I think this one was pretty easy. This was a marquee matchup coming into this past Sunday, the Bengals versus the Bills. The Bills ended up coming back down 14 points in the fourth quarter. And scored 21 unanswered to win it, and all within like 5 minutes towards the end of that game. When I watched it back just today, and seeing what the score was going into the fourth quarter, it was like 21-18. The final score ended up being 39-34. So just crazy things happen in that game where Joe Burrow's pass to a little screen pass. Christian Benford went a mile high in the air to get that one and returned it for a pick six. And then on the very next possession, a tipped ball by a defensive lineman led to another interception that led to another score for Buffalo. Yeah. Key takeaways late in that game. I'm still have concerns over Buffalo because of their defense. They just allowed.
their defense was terrible the entire game except for two plays. And
right. Cincinnati. I mean, they just tried it right up and down the field, especially in that first half. It was automatic. But Cincinnati's playoff hopes really took a hit in this one. Now sitting at 9 losses, their best chance is actually still to win their division. It's with the loss to the Ravens from the Pittsburgh Steelers, still feels like the division's open for them. They could win it 8-9 on the season. We'll see what happens.
What's their what? No, because Pittsburgh's in their division. That's impossible.
They're going to go 9-8. That's why.
Yeah. It's over. I don't even know why they're still on the graphics. As long as Pittsburgh's in your division, if you have 9 losses, it's hopeless.
What did you think of the snow game?
Great game. The snow just added to it. Yeah, very high scoring snow game. I don't see those very often. Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow threw a beautiful touchdown, I think, to Gesicki to stretch the lead to 10. And I think then the Bengals were able to get Josh Allen to a third down. I think it was a third down, and then they just gave up the most wide-open 40-yard touchdown run I've ever seen in my life. The easiest quarterback 40-yard touchdown run I've ever seen, and then, yeah, everything just went downhill for the Bengals from there. Although they did have a nice drive to cut it to 5 and cover my prediction. But
Bullshit.
but yeah, but yeah, I mean, once again, I mean, yes, Burrow's interceptions were bad, but for some reason, Burrow peaks. I know he was hurt all year, but he peaks in December, and once again, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, it
It's just
hurts.
unfortunate.
It
Yeah.
hurts. Yeah, 9 losses. It feels like an uphill battle. We get the Ravens this week, but yeah, the worst part of that game was that if my Bengals were going to lose, at least don't cover the spread. So I win that bet by a half a freaking point. But good on
I'll
you
take
for
that
picking.
because there were some horrible beats this week, so I'll
Yep.
take that.
Yep. All right, our stat that told the story. We're gonna go very recent. Last night's Monday Night Football game, where the Eagles and Chargers took the field in LA, and Jalen Hurts, QB for the Philadelphia Eagles, had 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and a fumble. 2 of those came on one play, and the game featured 8 total turnovers altogether, where it really did tell the story. Turnovers decided the game. It was a sloppy, messy game. Uh, and when you're the Eagles, you're lucky this game even went to overtime with all the turnovers that took place. And then obviously this one went to overtime. Dicker for the Chargers with 5 field goals, including that 46-yarder to force OT and a 54-yarder in OT. But he only got those chances because of turnovers.
Yeah, there's 2 ways you can look at this for the Eagles. Yeah, one was, like you said, lucky it even went to overtime because of all the turnovers. But then you could also think, why did that go into overtime? Because we had we had the ball, and Jalen Hurts admittedly threw a beautiful pass. Like, he played really bad, but he threw an absolutely beautiful pass to AJ Brown in the end zone. I would have given them a touchdown lead with 2 minutes to go, and AJ Brown dropped it. And then they had to settle for a field goal, and then Chargers obviously scored a field goal in the next drive and went into overtime. Yeah, very weird game because you never see that many fumbles in a game indoors.
Right.
I think not just like turnovers, but like just fumbles that were even recovered by the offense. But I mean, Justin Herbert's hand and limitations
It
with his
definitely
injury,
played
I
a
think
factor.
that played a factor in some of his. I think Jalen Hurts, he just threw some inexcusable passes, especially the interception in overtime. I don't know what. I don't know. It was first. It wasn't even like it was 4th down. It was 1st down.
And
Like,
they'd gotten all the way to the red zone, field
all
goal
the way.
range to tie the game.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even. I mean, there was a little bit of a window, but you don't even risk. Like, it's
Mm-mm.
just you don't risk it in that situation. Oh, that was bad.
It's games like this that people refer to when they don't put Jalen Hurts in their top 5 QBs in the league. And I
Yes,
know we
yeah.
both did, but it's games like this that people refer to. And yeah, the score for this game, if you just flip flop this one with the Bengals Bills, that would have made more sense with the snow game and the indoor in LA. Didn't make a whole lot of sense there. But let's look at our final part of this: the team or player on the rise this week. We're finally going to give some love to a team that has deserved it for the last few weeks, and that's the Houston Texans after winning their 5th straight game in a row uh, after taking down last year's AFC champion, the Kansas City Chiefs, in Arrowhead Stadium, which is no small feat, no matter what Chiefs team you're playing up against. And this is a big win for the Houston Texans as they look to climb back up into the AFC South rankings as they try to chase down Jacksonville, and just kind of getting a bit of a monkey off their back with Kansas City. They lost multiple games in a row, going back to last season's playoff game against KC. So this was huge, and I think CJ Stroud played probably the best game for him this season. Kind of mirrored some of those things we saw in his rookie year. But he made some really tough throws when he had guys like Chris Jones tracking him down in the pocket. But I was impressed by him. But of course, it's always the defense with Houston, and they were the stars of this game.
Yeah, I believe this was Kansas City's first loss by multiple possessions. and it happened at home to a team that they've owned for the last several years. So yeah, basically for the Houston Texans to be contenders, C.J. Stroud and the offense just need to be average, because that's just how insanely good their defense has been. And I think, as we saw Sunday night, they can be that, because I mean, the Chiefs defense, you really couldn't blame the Chiefs defense for that loss, but the Texans did make enough plays against that defense to be average and to get to 20 points. But yeah, they just took Mahomes and company just completely out of rhythm. Drops, interceptions. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, I've been hampering on the Texans defense. I've been up on it all year. I mean, even when they were losing, I was like, it's really unfortunate this team's going to waste such a talented defense. But I'm glad to see him. It started with Davis Mills. Never forget that.
Yeah.
If the Texans do make it far, never forget that it was Davis Mills who actually got the ball rolling on this offense. So, yeah, shout out Houston. It's a team that no one's going to want to face in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, that is our NFL spotlight. Let's move on to our signature segment, the spreadsheet, where we go through each of the games this week, giving our picks against the spread. Let's get a scoreboard update. I went 7-7 last week. Huge late window for me, and primetime games on Sunday and Monday Night Football to help get me back to 7-7. Overall record 107, 101 for 52% against the spread. How are we looking, Logan?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me before the week that I would have gotten all three primetime games right and my lock of the week would have been right, I would have been like, oh, righty, that's 4 right there. And then I finished 6-8. So yeah, it was a rough Sunday. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, probably the first time all year I got all three primetime games right. So I guess I'll give myself a little pat on the back. But no, it's taken me below 500 for the first time, as close to 500 as you could possibly be. 3, 104, and 1s. Yeah, but by the law of averages, which is what we've been seeing all year with my picks, this should be a good week.
Yeah, but I was feeling pretty down and during the 1 o'clock window, and then my dirty dog hit with the Saints. Winning outright in Tampa Bay. Yeah, my Dirty Dogs have been doing really well. My lock hit with the Rams big time, blew out the Cardinals, and I was correct with my stay away pick. The Broncos not covering the spread against the Raiders, which was
a horrible beat.
Was a little fishy, in my opinion. What happened in that game?
that was a horrible beat. Yeah. I feel like the Broncos and the Packers, who are actually playing each other this week, they've had games like that all year where they either barely cover the spread by 1 point, or they don't cover by 1 point.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to our Week 15 picks. So we've got a full slate. We're done with bye weeks officially, correct? We're done with that.
Yes, we are done. All 32 teams will be playing each week from here on.
Awesome. So I want to have time for college football, so we need to get through these games. But a little overview is Week 15 is the week for big spreads. Jags, Eagles, Niners, Seahawks, all double-digit favorites, as well as the Texans coming in at 9.5, Chicago coming in at 7.5. So we've got some pretty big spreads on the slate this week. But we'll get it started with our Thursday night football matchup. It's an NFC South contest between the Falcons and the Bucks. Bucks favored at 4.5 at the moment, or last time I saw earlier today. Falcons are out of playoff contention, not playing for anything. You also have Kirk Cousins on a short week. And while the Bucks are skidding, obviously an embarrassing loss to the Saints, but we know, as I said last week, the Saints have owned the Bucks. With the Panthers on the Bucks' heels in the division, coming off a horrible loss, this feels like a get-right game against a team that really isn't playing for anything. Baker hasn't been great in prime time. I've mentioned this before, and it's worked out. To fade him, I just think this week is the spot to take him in the Bucks, coming off that loss to the Saints at 4.5.
These two teams played an amazing Thursday night game last year.
Oh, yeah.
All that. I don't think we'll get that again this year. Although, Kirk Cousins will be playing. He did play in it last year, too. But I'm in agreement with you, and this deals with kind of the law of averages, I guess you could say again. Um, Tampa's playing their second straight division game at home against a bad opponent. I just don't think they're going to lay an egg twice. It just doesn't seem. I just highly doubt that's going to happen. So I'll take the Bucks at -4.5 too. I don't think Tampa's good. I think injuries have caught up to them. Baker's kind of regressed over these last few weeks. I think he's still dealing with an injury. But Atlanta's nothing to play for, and short rest for an old quarterback. Bucks -4.5. Sunday slate. We will begin with the Browns at the Bears. Bears are 7.5-point home favorites. I don't really like this one too much, but I'm going to go with the Bears because this will be Shadeur's first road game against a competent opponent. The Raiders were not a competent opponent. It's going to be a tough environment because the Bears coming off a loss. Bears have been good this year, so I like the Bears to bounce back. I haven't looked at the forecast for this one, but this seems like a get right game for Ben Johnson and company. So Bears -7.5.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I kind of went back and forth because I looked at the forecast. It's going to be like 0 degrees in Chicago. So I think that kind of weather leans defense. I could see this being a close game, and the
But
Browns
we
defense.
just saw Tony Pollard run all over
Right.
the Browns defense. So.
But the thing that helps me here is under Kevin Stefanski, when Cleveland plays a tight game, meaning a final score within one possession, the Browns are 35-50-1 against the spread in their next game. I agree. Ben Johnson's going to dial something up for this one to put the Browns to bed. And the hook, I don't love it, but in a situation where you're going against a rookie QB, I'll take the Ben Johnson and at least a year or two, Caleb Williams. So
it's not my do not bet, but it's close.
Yeah, it was one that I considered. All right, Ravens at the Bengals. This one has the Ravens favored at 2.5 on the road. This will just be the third time Burrow is a home dog versus the AFC North. This happened in 2024 versus the Ravens at +2.5, and they lost 41-38. So barely didn't cover. And then 2020 versus the Browns at +4.5 and lost 37-34. It's hard because can you take the Ravens seriously in a revenge spot on the road here? It was a tough loss for both teams coming from last week. And there's been some off the field locker drama stuff going on with this Ravens team. I'm going to go Bengals. I didn't pick them last week, and it would have been obviously a good pick whether they'd won or not. But I got to go with them here because I just think Burrow elevates them in a way that no other QB can, and with the way they're going offensively, it looks pretty good. And I don't trust the Ravens' offense at this point, so yeah, give me the Bengals even with this hook.
So the Ravens' defense last week made Aaron Rodgers look like MVP Aaron Rodgers. Keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers is now 41 years old, so
he ran one in for like the first time.
That's quite an accomplishment to do. That's quite an accomplishment for a defense to do, to make him look like an MVP again. And who are they going up against? Burrow and Chase and Higgins and that company. So yeah, I get it why they're favoring the Ravens here. Just like bounce back, but I just can't. Yeah, I have to go Bengals here again at +2.5. Not a huge fan of this one either because these AFC North games can just be grinders, but I'm in agreement. Bengals +2.5. They've served me well 2 weeks in a row, so maybe they'll do it 3. Okay, Chargers at Chiefs. Last I checked, Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites, and the Chargers are my dog of the week. So I expect the Chargers to win this game. But even if the Chiefs win, do you really expect them to win by more than a field goal with the way they've been playing? I don't understand the spread. A 2.5 point spread would have made more sense to me. Just by the way the Chiefs have been playing recently. But yeah, a couple of reasons is the something's just off with the Chiefs, which we alluded to when we were talking about the Texans. They've just not been the same. They've been losing all these close games, so and I expect this to be a close game. And also, this isn't an official stat, and I might be getting biased here, but teams, I think, when the Colts need a team to lose to help their playoff chances, the team that they need to lose is probably like in the last several years, probably like 136-0 winning. I don't think I've ever seen, and when the Colts are depending on somebody to help their playoff chances, that team always just wins. I mean, just look at the AFC South right now. I mean, how is this suddenly one of the best divisions in football?
Right.
Well, I mean, and that's how it was last year when the Broncos caught fire randomly late in the year to knock the Colts out of wild card position. And yeah, I just expect that here. So Chargers plus 4.5 cover, and I think they're going to win.
Yeah, so Mahomes as over a field goal favorite at home is around 47% against the spread. So it's usually a good bet to fade him in this spot. I agree. Like this, don't feel good about the Chiefs. Everyone's out on them in this spot. But I think this is the time to take the Chiefs. Everything's been going wrong. It really hasn't all been Mahomes. There's been I just noticing that game against the Texans, a lot of drops by the receivers. Obviously, the big play to Kelsey. I see this as a bounce back spot of one of those buy low, sell high situations where you've got two teams on different trajectories, but I fade a team that turned it over like the Chargers did in a sloppy Monday night grinded out game that went to overtime on a short week. I like Kansas City in this spot. I think just at some point you've got to flip it on them and take this position on them. And I think Herbert with the hand issue, I mean, they probably should have lost that game. He got away with it playing against the Eagles under a dome, but again, this is a cold weekend, and it's going to be Herbert outdoors in Arrowhead. I know C.J. Stroud and the Texans came in there, but I don't look at the Chargers defense quite the same as I do the Texans, and I think this could be a very good spot for the Chiefs. So I'm going to take the KC at -4.5. Bills at the Patriots. This is a big one. This is one of my favorite games of the week. AFC East divisional battle that could help decide the winner as the Bills try to track down the Patriots in this division. It's been 10 straight wins for the Pats. Some say it's fraudulent. Some predicted the Pats as a playoff team since we usually get a handful of new playoff teams each year, but no one expected them to be this good. And I kind of want to be on the Bills here. I don't know about you, but if this moves to, I see the line moving towards the Patriots as this one has progressed. The Patriots right now are -1.5, or no, Buffalo's -1.5. But I could see this moving to where Buffalo is an underdog, and I'll bet at them. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Buffalo right now as -1.5 point favorites. Buffalo is 2-0 straight up and against the spread as underdogs, like I think they're going to end up being by the end of this, beating the Chiefs and Ravens this season in those games. Josh Allen is 22-15-2 against the spread as a dog. Bills defense still allowed a lot to the Bengals, like I said, and the only reason you'd still be leaning Bills here is because of Josh Allen going into Superman mode. But I just like his experience in a big game against someone like Drake May, who hasn't played a lot of competition this season and doesn't have the experience for these type of big games to play up for.
Bills are coming off a high. Patriots are coming off a bye. And as we've seen multiple times with the Bills this year, they come crashing down a lot after highs. Josh Allen, keep an eye out for an injury to him this week because the Patriots are that's just what they've been dealing with all year with their opponents. So just keep an eye out for some weird Bills injury to develop this week. But nevertheless, I'm going to go Patriots at +1.5. Excuse me. My prediction with the Patriots is I think they'll win this week. And then They are due for a loss. I mean, at some point they're just due for one. I think next week at Baltimore is gonna be their loss. It just won't be this week. I think they're too far ahead of the Bills, and I think though, and this is the game they probably have circled on their calendar for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like they already have the division locked up, you have to make a statement, and I like them at home to do that. So Patriots plus 1.5. Okay, moving from the AFC East to the NFC East in a game probably better than Bills Patriots. Honestly, Commanders Giants. It should be a very um, high stake game. I don't even know. I don't even care. Where is this game even being played? Is it being played at Meadow? Is it being played at New York?
Yeah.
I don't. Okay. Um, yeah, give me the Giants coming off a bye at home. I guess, yeah, that's who I'll give the advantage to. I mean, that's 2 pluses right there. This is a game I wouldn't bet because I don't care about it. Brow was down in Washington right now. I mean, Jaden Daniels tried to come back heroically. He got hurt and his team got shut out to a mediocre Vikings team. So, yeah, is Dart? I can't even keep track of Dart's injuries anymore. Is he?
I think he's expected to play.
Okay, so yeah, Dart brings energy. Yeah, I like the Giants here at minus 2.5.
Washington was hit rock bottom last week when they lost to 9 in the Vikings. And that's why it's the perfect spot to pick them this week. Jaden Daniels is expected to play, I believe, coming into this game. It's never a pretty sight when a team gets shut out like the Vikings did 2 weeks ago and then bounced back and shut out the Commanders last week. Washington is now up. So since 2015, teams that were shut out in their previous game are 34, 17, and 3 against the spread, including 4-0 against the spread this season. I'm going to run it back with Washington like I did last week with everyone going to be down on this team. I like Washington. Just probably not going to watch it. Don't really care about it, but I think it's just one of those spots where you just take a team at rock bottom against a team like the Giants. All right, Raiders and Eagles. No trends, no stats. I just will not be taking the Raiders here. It's Eagles or no bet at all in a get right spot. Eagles, this is one of the big spreads, minus 12.5. And just the way it's been going, everyone, again, going to be down on this team. But I just can't in good conscience go with the Raiders with this one. So Eagles at home, Raiders going cross country. I like the Eagles in this one.
Yeah. I don't like it because the Eagles are obviously reeling right now, and they've only beaten one team this year by multiple possessions. Every win this year has been by 7 points or less, and so it just points to taking the underdog. But they've also just had a very difficult schedule. We alluded to this earlier in the year. Obviously, they're the defending champion, so it's going to make it harder. But I mean, they're facing the NFC North, facing the AFC West. They just haven't had many easy games. So, I mean, they haven't played Washington yet. They obviously lost to the Giants, but then their one win by multiple possessions was against the Giants. And they're playing the Raiders, who are terrible and should have lost by double digits last week if they had kicked the saddest field goal in NFL history. So, yeah, I'm going to go Eagles at minus 11.5. This is another one, like I said, don't like just because the way the Eagles are playing, but this is more of an indictment on the Raiders situation at the moment. Okay, that's at the Jaguars. Jaguars are minus 11.5 point favorites. I fully expect the Jaguars to win this game, but I also expect the Jets to cover this because I feel like after a couple weeks, the Jaguars are due for a WTF game. Like Trevor Lawrence is due for one of those, and I feel like this is just the perfect spot for that. But like the rule, like I said, the Colts need teams to lose, so obviously that's not going to happen. But and the Jets are terrible, but Jets are coming off a terrible performance against the Dolphins. They're going south, warmer weather, where the Jaguars might be feeling a little too comfortable right now, and they're going to make it a close game, an unnecessarily close game. I like the Jets at plus 11.5 against Trevor Lawrence and the Jags.
Well, you know my feeling on Trevor Lawrence, but I think the addition of Jacoby Myers for this offense has been a bright spot that honestly has made Lawrence look pretty good, even though he still only completed 55% of his passes last week. um, to me, like I have to lean Jacksonville here just in case it's the backup to Tyrod Taylor. It sounds like there's a potential he may not play, and he's like a cover machine. If it's Fields, definitely take the Jets, but I think I'll lean Jaguars at home. Old Jags always lose this game, but maybe we are in a different era with Liam Cohen. The Jets were also officially eliminated from playoff contention last week, so something we all knew was coming. But again, now they're at the point in the season where they're not playing for anything. I could see the Jaguars running away with
15
it.
years in a row.
15 years in a row, gosh.
Longest active streak.
Sorry, Jets fans, for bringing that up.
In the four American professional sports leagues, I believe that is the longest active playoff drought.
Awesome. All right.
Not for the Jets.
Yeah. Cardinals at the Texans. I called the blowout to the Rams last week for the Cardinals. Seem to only get blown out by teams in their division. So this is the type of line and opponent that Arizona could backdoor cover. The Texans are not a real offensive juggernaut. We know this. So I think it's a nice spot for Arizona after a Houston win on the road, a big emotional win in Arrowhead, which is just a huge win to break a streak that against an opponent that's pretty much had their number. Most people are going to be all over the Texans here based on their winning streak. I think this line could continue to go up, and I'm going to be taking this dog. So CJ Stroud's home games have been a reliable spot for the under. He's 17-5 to be the under in 22 career home starts, including 4 straight. So I expect a low-scoring affair here, which could benefit Arizona in getting this cover at 9.5. And that is my dirty dog of the week.
We just keep disagreeing, but since that's your dirty dog, I feel like I don't feel very confident in this anymore. But what you said is true, though. This is probably going to keep going up, so that's why I like it where it is right now. Under 10.
Right.
I like that minus 9.5 number. But let's face it. Yes, they have been mostly against divisional opponents, but since they're a big win against Dallas on Monday night, the Cardinals are 0-4-1 against the spread.
They're due.
You could say they're due. It's just the Texans' defense has just been insanely good, and they haven't shown any sign of a letdown. So until they do show signs of a letdown, I'm just going to keep taking them. So give me the Texans at minus 9.5 against a reeling Cardinals team. Okay, another great game. Packers at the Broncos. This is my stay away game, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, how both teams just really always play right next to the spread line. Either by 1 point. So this is the definition of a stay away game for me. Broncos are 2.5 point underdogs, home underdogs against Green Bay. And like I said, I don't feel confident in this. This is my stay away game, but I'm going to go with the home underdog. Jordan Love, he's just so up and down, I feel like, and he's going to be playing a very good defense on the road. So, yeah, I just have a little more confidence in the Broncos as underdogs than the Packers winning by a field goal.
Right, yeah. I don't trust Bo Nix fully, but my trust in Jordan Love.
His defense and special teams will carry him to victory.
Like right. Yeah. But I don't trust Jordan Love either. And I almost feel like Denver at Mile High Stadium, I don't know if it's the elevation, but it's just where favorites go to die. You know, any time a team goes into that stadium against that team as a favorite, I don't like it. So I'm with you on this one. I'm going Denver at plus 2.5 at home as the underdogs here. Let's move on to the Lions at the Rams. Obviously, the Rams got the huge win against the Cardinals last week. Lions right now banged up offensive line. There's injuries in their secondary. I just think coming off a win against Dallas, it's going to be a tough spot with that secondary to go against Stafford, Puka, and Adams in that trio. And Sean McVay is 27-11 straight up, 26-11-1 against the spread in the month of December, winning 9 in a row outright. This line is sitting at 5.5 in favor of LA. and I think I'll take that one at 5.5.
I like this to be a field goal game, so I'm going to go Lions at plus 5.5. And that's mostly just due to how well Jahmyr Gibbs has been playing. He's just been incredible as of late, and that just opens up so much more because we all knew the Lions have St. Brown and Jameson Williams, and that Goff can throw to, and but just the way Gibbs has been playing, I just feel like their offense is just super super elite right now. And do I expect them to win? Not necessarily, but I expect them to keep it close. And that's why I like the Lions at plus 5.5. Plus, Rams coming off a big blowout win, possibly a little letdown.
I like the angle.
But not my favorite pick, but it's also not one I would necessarily say I'd stay away from. So, yep, Lions plus 5.5. Another disagreement. Okay, Panthers at the Saints. Panthers are 2.5-point favorites. The consistent rule I've been following all year, and the one time I did not last week, it cost me because it turns out this rule is stronger than the Tua going up north to play. And that rule is a bad team coming off a win or a good performance. Always bet against them. What did the Saints do? They went into a team house who is currently leading the division and won against one of their bigger rivals, the Buccaneers. So absolutely perfect letdown spot at home. Only 2.5-point underdogs, but they'll lose by a lot more to a Panthers team that I absolutely do not trust, but they are coming off of a bye. And as I mentioned, lots of times they're playing a team who is coming off a big emotional win. And another thing like this late in the year, like these teams that don't have many wins or like have just one or two wins, they just want that one more win. They just want that feeling one more time. And like once they get it, they like, oh, we finally got that win. It's like, is there really much incentive? Like, are they going to try like as hard when they're already eliminated and all that? That's why I think that rule plays stronger now. So Panthers minus 2.5 at New Orleans.
In Shuck, we trust. I'm going with New Orleans at plus 2.5. I'm surprised I'm going with them. I said I never bet on them again, but the Panthers haven't won or covered the spread in a game they were favored in since September of 2021. 4 full years. They've lost 11 straight up and against the spread as a favorite. To me, I still think the public will be all over this Panthers team. They're coming off a bye, and before that was their win against the Rams. The Saints will still be heavily overlooked. I don't care if they won last week. I also think they're a more consistent team than the Panthers. Panthers have been very up and down, getting blown out, and then winning a game against the Rams. Saints, they have been pretty consistent this year in keeping games relatively close and competing for all 4 quarters. I mean, I really like what I've seen from Tyler Shough. He's fun to watch. So I think at plus 2.5, I'm gonna take the Saints at home because I am not gonna pick the Panthers as a favorite. So New Orleans.
I like it. I do like your reasoning. That is a great because I've been playing that stat all year. But now that the Panthers are okay, they're starting to they are starting to be favored in more games. So
all right, Titans at the 49ers. This one is sitting at 12.5. This is one of the big spreads. Niners favored at home. Titans obviously beat the Browns last week to get their second win of the season. They've lost 10 consecutive games, both straight up and against the spread after a straight up win. 49ers are coming off a bye. To me, this is lock of the week material. I'm taking the Niners to take care of Tennessee at home. I don't see a surprise cover here or win by the Titans after that big game.
So the last game I talked about, the note I wrote was bad team coming off a win plus Panthers off a bye. This one, my note is bad team coming off a win plus 49ers off a bye. I mean, it's the exact same reasoning. I have nothing else to say on this game. You described everything. Yeah. The only possible thing is a backdoor cover, but like the Titans did earlier this year against the Seahawks. But I just don't. Okay, Colts at Seahawks. On paper, it looks like a good game, but it's actually not likely going to be. Seahawks are 13.5-point favorites. And, there's really nothing happening with the Colts right now. I haven't looked at the headlines recently. I had an absolutely insane dream last night that they brought back Phillip Rivers for a few games, but
I think that was a dream.
then I woke up and I was like, yeah, that couldn't have been real. So, the Colts. Yeah, they're doing fine. Sure. Yeah. They totally have a quarterback on their roster who's healthy, and
Oh my
definitely
gosh.
not lost their top two cornerbacks and their number one defensive lineman and their right tackle, and yeah, so yeah, they're fine. They're fine. They're definitely not going into a place against a team that has not allowed a touchdown in the last two
Oh my
games.
god.
They'll be fine. Seahawks minus 13.5.
Yeah, same. This morning, actually, Phillip Rivers signed with the Colts practice squad. So going first on their practice squad after Daniel Jones was lost for the season due to an Achilles injury. So Rivers opened around 40-1 to win comeback player of the year before being quickly bet down to about 12-1 odds just an hour after signing. Look, the
Who's
Colts,
even in the running? Who's supposed to win that award?
I saw the other two names. I can't remember. Probably like Aiden Hutchinson or someone like him. The Colts' remaining schedule is no joke. Entering last week, they had the hardest remaining strength of schedule based on winning percentage at 67%. Now, with 4 games left, their opponent winning percentage is 69.2%. Still the hardest remaining strength of schedule. I don't trust it if it's Phillip Rivers, 44-year-old playing the most violent sport. No chance. I'll take the safe pick here, Seattle, to beat up on this Colts team. I just feel like their season started off so great, and we talked about them so highly, and it's just collapsing so immediately in these past 2 weeks with Jones going down and Sauce going down after the trade. It's just
you can't even fault them for the Gardner trade, because immediately after it happened, just everything just out of control. Everything just went downhill. But it had nothing to do with that. Jones getting hurt, like you said, Gardner getting hurt, Buckner getting hurt. Yeah, just incredible. One fun fact about this game, though, I just got curious. I looked back at this. Yeah, the Colts have only this game has only been played at Seattle once in the last 20 years. I think there was some weird scheduling quirk where for some reason the Seahawks went to the Colts twice in a row whenever they did the 4-year swing of AFC South versus NFC West. So yeah, it's been a rare game for the Colts to travel to Seattle. Like I said, it's only happened once in the last 20 years until Sunday. So interesting stat.
Vikings at the Cowboys. So this is our Sunday night football matchup. The primetime games this week are not that great. Cowboys, they tend to play down to their competition. Since 2021, Dak Prescott is 14-9 against the spread off of a straight-up loss as a starter, including 3-2 against the spread this season. The issue, since the start of 2024, Dak has faced a team under 500 off a loss 6 times, and Dallas is just 1-5 against the spread in those games, including 0-3 against the spread at home. There's a coaching mismatch, I think, here between Schottenheimer and KOC, but I'm not betting on 9. Give me Dallas at 6.5, minus 6.5.
9 did play well last week against. It's possible the concussion he got maybe fixed him. Maybe.
Maybe.
I'll give him his flowers for last week. Given it was against a terrible defense, but I thought Bobby Wagner was still really good. I saw he was like 4th in Pro Bowl voting. What are we doing? He's still living off his 2015 reputation. I don't even know why I'm talking about that. I just saw that today and it made me mad. But back to the Vikings-Cowboys. At Dak at night against a mediocre team. The Vikings aren't bad. Like, I'm not going to say this is the bad team coming off a win play, because, their defense is still fine. They still have Justin Jefferson and playmakers on offense. But, yeah, Cowboys at home, minus 6.5. I like that. Cowboys offense is still good. And the Vikings defense, while good, has definitely regressed a little bit since last year. Granted, they did just come off a shutout, so can't say they regressed too much. But yeah, Cowboys minus 6.5. Okay, and it's taken me to get to game 16 to get to my lock of the week. But here we are at Steelers minus 3.5.
Oh my gosh.
Why I'm doing this is because so we talked about last week the Steelers needed to go 3-2 to get to that 9-8 mark. So now they just need to go 2-2, and this is one of those that I think that it's a for sure win. But this is going back to my reasoning with the very first game we talked about, the Buccaneers and the Falcons, where I just feel like I said that Tampa playing bad against a bad divisional opponent at home 2 weeks in a row is just not going to happen. I don't trust Tua and the Dolphins to play well up north 2 weeks in a row. Uh, yes, they finally got it done once, but twice, no, that's not going to happen. Steelers minus 3.5 really has nothing to do with the Steelers. It has all to do with the Dolphins not doing what they've been doing during the Tua era, which is sucking in the cold, and I'm sure it's going to be cold on Monday night. So Steelers minus 3.5, lock of the week.
Yeah, this is a game where you got the Dolphins, who did something that I did not expect them to do last week, and then the Steelers, who did exactly what the trends always say they do in those matchups with the Ravens. But now we have a situation where they're favored at home over a field goal, and I've got to pick between them and the Dolphins. This is why it's my stay away game of the week, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate this game. But the Steelers are really good on Monday Night Football. With the hook, fine, whatever. I'll take Pittsburgh, but I don't love it. So yeah,
it could
I
be.
don't trust the Dolphins. So
I almost think it could be the Giants. This could be Dolphins at Giants. And I would take the Giants at minus 3.5, just because I'm a math guy, and the law of averages says that's it's not gonna. Tua's not gonna play well in the cold for 2 weeks in a row. So, give me the Steelers at minus 3.5.
all right, that is the spreadsheet. Our picks against the spread for Week 15. We've saved ourselves some time here for our college football segment, so let's enter the campus corner and let's dig in to what transpired this past weekend. Big time craziness in the ACC. Duke taking that one, officially allowing not the Virginia nor Duke to be in the college football playoff at the end of this, but we'll get to the rankings shortly. SEC championship game, Georgia routed Alabama in that one. And
that didn't mean anything.
Apparently it didn't.
No reason to talk about it. No reason to talk about it. The result meant nothing.
Nope. But Big 12 championship, Texas Tech, as we assumed, pulled away from BYU in that game, solidifying BYU to not be in the college football playoff. So apparently that meant something, right?
Yeah, exact same result from a few weeks ago between those two teams. So yeah, pretty clear who was a better team between Texas Tech and BYU.
And then finally we had the primetime spot, Big Ten championship, number 1 versus number 2, Ohio State and Indiana. I'll let you react to what you saw in a 13-10 IU win. I'll follow up because it was a crushing defeat, but oddly enough, it didn't feel as bad as last year against Michigan. Didn't feel like it meant as much, and there's not as many people calling for Ryan Day's job this time around. IU's legit. So, what do you think of that game?
I said IU would win last week, and I said the score would be 14-10. So that was
right
probably
on.
my best. That would include counting the NFL season. That was my best pick all year. But I said that because this is what I said last week, and we haven't talked too much IU just because most of their games have been boring this year, outside of the Penn State and Oregon game in Iowa. That while Mendoza has been great, he will probably win the Heisman. It's been their defense all year. Their front seven is their entire front seven could be first 3-round NFL picks. That's how it's been all year against bad opponents or against okay opponents. You can't run any option play or anything because by the time you get the ball, by the time you have to make a decision, there's 5 guys in the backfield and you don't know where they came from. Every single option, the screen pass, the toss, the quarterback run, there's a guy waiting for you there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, if they can do that against Ohio State, then I'm going to say they're the better defense than Ohio State.
Right.
And sure
They
enough, they did.
impressed.
They did. I mean, and I feel like they're still not being talked about enough because, and like I love Mendoza. Mendoza's been great, but him and the offense only scored 13 points. It's and the only touchdown that IU's defense allowed was off that short field. Granted, Ohio State's red zone offense was terrible. Yes, Ohio State probably should have scored a few more times, but still, yeah, the only touchdown IU gave up was off of a short field after an Ohio State interception. So yeah, Indiana's defense is insanely good. Um, like you said, the outcome. I wish there was more at stake. There was way more at stake for IU because of how long it's been since they've had success. So yeah, first Big Ten championship since 1967, first outright since Hiroshima and Nagasaki happened in 1945. So it's been, yeah, I mean, what a way to cap off a magical regular season. This is a regular season game. Come on. I mean, yeah, it was not a play-in game because we both knew they were going to be in the tournament. So yeah, huge for IU to cap off this season. Ohio State may be good. I mean, we saw what the Michigan game did for them last year in the playoffs. Showed them that there's still some stuff you can work on. Plus, depending on how IU does, it might be debatable whether teams should lose the Big Ten championship with this draw they get going out west to Pasadena. I'm still convinced the 5 seed's the best seed in the college football playoff.
Yes.
Even despite the changes that they made to the bye, who gets the buys. But fun game. Glad that, like I mentioned last week, glad it was 2 teams who were close geographically to Indianapolis, made it a much cooler environment, and interested to see what both these teams can do in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I'm not putting all this on Jaden Fielding. He has lost us a game before with his leg. But yeah, red zone offense. We struggled against Michigan last week in some of those spots early in that game. More of our offense came from having more of an open field. But yeah, the IU defense was incredible. I hadn't seen much of them this season because they just weren't in big games outside of that Oregon spot.
And you don't see highlights. You don't see highlights.
Right.
Of that. You see Mendoza's highlights when he throws to Puka Nacua. I mean, Charlie Becker. And like when Omar Cooper went down, I was like, "Who cares? They're going to pull some guy. They're going to pull some guy off the bench who's going to be just as good." I mean,
yeah, and I think that was a difference maker too. Is that they just hit a couple more big plays than we did that really flipped field position. Yeah, just an impressive performance, an impressive season from a team that, I mean, they've been brought out of obscurity by Kurt Cignetti and what he's been able to do for this IU football program. So very impressed to see what he did, see what they did, getting the number 1 seed in the playoff. But yes, I do think this is good for Ohio State. I hate it, but again, it's not like the Michigan loss, and I think losing this one is okay. And I think we needed to lose, especially with a young QB. I think whenever we've lost games like this, we've responded by fixing exactly what needed to be fixed. And I think that's going to be interesting to see if this becomes a rematch for the championship, 1 against 2. I could definitely see that happening with the way these defenses play.
Similar to what I said about Purdue, Iowa State, basketball-wise, I feel like if these 2 teams played each other 10 times, it would be an even split, 5-5.
Yeah. So
because I feel like even Indiana left, like both Indiana and Ohio State left points on the board multiple times. Like I don't think either team played their A game. So
no. So the college football playoff bracket is set, and I did want to go over something that was we knew pretty much what the seeds were going to look until we get towards the end of it. We knew that there were now going to be 2 G5 teams with Tulane and James Madison getting in there after Duke took the ACC championship. So we have our buys with Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech. And we've got some really good matchups between Alabama and Oklahoma getting in. But the big news here is Miami getting in over Notre Dame. The big story, everyone's going nuts. There's an argument for and against Notre Dame being in when comparing them to Miami, and I'm kind of actually glad and surprised they went with Miami. So the college football playoff rankings, to me, should only be released in the final week because the committee sets a precedent with their weekly rankings, and the way they did it this season led coaches and teams on and fans on as to what the final rankings were going to be. And I think this whole season they've been walking a fine line where they don't know if they want to vote in the best 12 teams or the most deserving 12 teams. There's a very clear difference when you pick the teams for this. All the best to JMU and Tulane, but this system is broken. Having two G5 teams in this playoff bracket makes it exponentially worse for the games, especially that first weekend. And to me, the better argument would have been between Alabama and Notre Dame. Notre Dame hasn't lost since those two games early in the season to two quality opponents, but by a combined 4 points. Alabama is a 3-loss team who just got blown out of their conference championship game, much like BYU, and they were quick to boot BYU out of the playoff for their performance. To me, it's just all very calculated.
Not only did Alabama not booting out of the playoffs, they didn't even move. Like,
right,
it did not move at all.
Right.
And I'll let you go. I was just going to say, if they would have lost in a close game, I wouldn't have had a problem.
Right.
If it would have been come down right to the wire,
exactly.
Sure, they would have still had 3 losses, but it would have been like, okay, they split with Georgia, 2 competitive games, let them be in. No, they got hammered. They had -3 rushing yards. Go on.
It just seems all very calculated by the committee to reach a conclusion and a bracket that suits their idea of what the playoff should look like, and also keeping the conference partners happy. ESPN, SEC, they're right there. But then again, Notre Dame doesn't help its case. They don't play in a conference, and they didn't get at least one good win on their schedule. If you want to say the USC is a good win, fine, whatever. But Bama
it's a fine
resume. Yeah, Bama has the better resume. However, I think teams who play in their conference championship games should be penalized to a certain extent. Think of a conference championship game as another opportunity to show the committee that you belong. If the game doesn't mean much to you and you don't perform, why should you be in the playoff? Teams should still be gunning for the opportunity to play in conference championships. I don't like this idea that teams are going to be quick to avoid those games at the risk of losing a playoff spot, because you literally get an additional resume builder, win or lose, that you belong. Games should still count even into the conference championship week, and the consequences of not performing well should be there as well. Not getting a playoff spot, would be a situation for Alabama in this spot after their beat down from Georgia, because they didn't. To me, they just came out flat, didn't take it seriously, and they should be penalized for that.
Absolutely, yeah. I also think Miami should have been in it, but it's just
they get the head-to-head to Notre Dame.
Well, but no. Here's another thing. So Alabama's going to be in with 3 losses because they talk about how big, bad, and strong the SEC is. So if you go by that, why is Vanderbilt not in? Why is Vanderbilt not in over Miami? Because Vanderbilt has 2 losses, and they were to who was to Alabama, a team that's in the playoffs, and who was the other one too? Crap, I'm forgetting.
I thought you knew.
Texas. A team just a team. I knew it was a good team. I was just trying to go through which team it was. A team just out of the playoffs. Look at Miami's losses. That was to Louisville, and who was the other one?
I think it was Virginia. I think so.
Virginia, yeah.
Or it was SMU. One of the two. Yeah.
One of those two teams that are way below Alabama and Texas. Yet Miami gets, you could say, I guess, the Notre Dame win, which, yeah, better win than anything Vanderbilt has. But, I mean, Vanderbilt went into Tennessee in the last week of the year, a tough place to play, and Tennessee's ranked, and put a whooping on them. So I just – and I'm not even saying Vanderbilt should be in. I'm just saying they're consistent. They're not following a consistent template with who they're choosing to be in this postseason.
Yeah, and now Notre Dame's declining to play in a bowl game, which just looks bad. But there's multiple teams doing that. Top team, I think, the bowl system is going to be gone. We're going to be doing away with that throughout the next 10 years. We won't see those Pop-Tart bowls anymore. But yeah, it's a situation where I think it should have been Miami and Notre Dame, and booting Alabama out just because you can't show up like that for an SEC championship game. You should be taking that seriously, and another opportunity to prove to the committee that you belong. We'll be getting into the college football playoff. We've got a couple of weeks here to be able to really break down the matchups and pick our games here. But this week we get one game. It's the Army-Navy game. We won't do a preview. I don't know anything about these teams. I know they've had pretty decent seasons the past couple of years, but kick back and salute the armed forces this week as Army and Navy play the annual game. That's always a treat to watch when you get the servicemen and women on either side cheering for and against those two squads. And the uniforms look sick this year coming in, so I'm very excited to kick back and watch a game that doesn't have so much stakes that I'm stressed about. So let's finish things up with our final word and what to watch for. I'm looking at a couple college basketball games on Saturday. IU at Kentucky. I don't think we've gotten this game in a while.
No, not in the regular season since the Watford shot.
Wow,
they've met twice in the tournament, but not
crazy.
Since the Watt shot. And it's two teams that desperately need a resume building win.
Yeah. And then the better game to watch is number 1 Arizona going to Tuscaloosa to face number 12 Alabama on Saturday as well. So that's a huge matchup there. But if you're not looking to watch any sports this weekend, if you're into murder mysteries, the third installment of the Knives Out franchise arrives on Netflix this Friday. I know me and my wife are really excited for that one. Wake Up Dead Man. So if you're looking to stream something on Netflix, I would highly recommend. I bet it's going to be the best one yet. So
my final word is Michigan basketball is the real deal. I'm watching what they're doing to Villanova right now and what they've been doing to opponents as of late, and all due respect to Arizona, but I think Michigan should be number 1 with what I have seen.
Definitely have a really good resume up to this point. They've been crushing it. I'm kind of scared for Ohio State to play them in Big Ten conference play. All right, that's the show. This has been the K&L Sports Huddle. For Logan Hubert, I'm Cage Kiplinger. Again, may your bets hit, your team not choke, and your stress levels stay manageable. We'll huddle up next week.